What's up, broadcasters? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Branding Banter, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA.
I'm Megha Bird, Director of Sales over at Performa.
Sarah Goshkarian-Enru, National Sales Manager at Stalls.
And we are joined today, as previously mentioned last week on last week's episode, by Merch Girly, also known as Savannah Dimitru, with Team SCG. And so we did actually say last week that we were going to ask how you pronounce your full name there, just to make sure that we don't completely butcher it. So why don't you just give us a quick introduction of yourself and teach us how to pronounce your name?
Hi, I'm Sav, your Merch Girly. I mean, Savannah Dimitru is my full name, but at this point, like Merch Girly is just like my persona that I'm working within. So I am the VP of Marketing over here at Team SCG. We are a full service distributorship out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So we are just rocking and rolling over here. I started with the whole Merch Girly brand as my personal brand, like the Savannah experience within Team SCG. And lo and behold, it's kind of turned into a little bit of my online alter ego. And at this point, like, I mean, who is Savannah Dimitru? It's Merch Girly, you know? And it's a lot easier to pronounce.
When we were talking about you, I was like, oh, Merch Girly. And Jeff's like, who? I'm like, Merch Girly. And I was like, I don't even know her name. Yeah. And then you're like looking at her, I was, oh my God, it's Savannah. So yeah.
No, but at this point, like, that's what it is. And I think that, like, to have my personal brand eclipse like my personal brand eclipse like my personal identity and like my professional space is what I'm really leaning into doing as somebody who is like a brand connoisseur. Like, being able to develop my own personal sense of identity within my profession is something that like I'm really, really enjoying doing, and something that like I'm seeing as like an indicator that I'm heading in the right direction.
Aww.
Yeah. So when you were asking who Merch Girly is, I do apologize because honestly, I'm not really on socials that much. I'm not on the online 18. I don't have time for social media. Look, it just is what it is. So
it is what it is, Jeff. But if you don't know, now you know.
I know. You are 100% correct. I'm very much up to date on Merch Girly now. So super excited to have you on the podcast. We've got a fun episode today, I believe. We're gonna talk about sort of how things have changed and sort of how go-to-market strategies in particular have changed with the newer generation. And I kind of maybe just want to see where this episode goes and where the conversation goes, because I think really where this came about was, we were talking about, just the younger generation in general. Like, our industry is getting younger, but it's not just isolated to our industry. It's, it's the end users as well. It's distributors, it's suppliers. And so everybody, along with technology, is doing things differently. And so, I think back to, when I was a distributor, even though it really wasn't that long ago, to me, it seems like at least it was a lifetime ago for some people.
It was.
And so, we're talking 15, 20 years, but still, it's a long time. It feels like yesterday, but it's a long time. So how have things changed? I mean, first of all, Savannah, like, how long have you been in the promo industry, and what have you noticed?
Okay, so I am a product of COVID. Before, I had like a whole slew of hospitality sales jobs. I've done like private dining sales for a Tony Roma's Slinging Ribs over in Miami. Then made my way into like high school fundraising sales, and then ended up at the Ritz-Carlton South Beach doing corporate event sales. And I loved it. Like, that was like probably one of the most empowering environments I've ever been a part of. But 3 months into being there, this thing like called the pandemic happened, and the whole world shut down, especially hotels. So I found myself just completely without a job, entirely without a direction. And my cousin, who was a buyer for Team SCG, he was a client for Team SCG. He was like, hey, like, I work with this company. They sell me like a bunch of stuff, and they're operating during the pandemic, and they seem to be growing. They seem to be like thriving, honestly. I think that you would be a good fit, and I'm gonna introduce you. I'm like, well, I don't really know what selling stuff means. However, I'm open to just about anything. So lo and behold, I get introduced to SCG, find out about the whole promotional product space, corporate merch space. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I have like a really eclectic job history. And in each and every one of those jobs, there was some sort of dealing with promotional products, with merch, with brand, and how you're able to then communicate your brand through merch. And I was like, wait, hold on, click, amazing. There's definitely something to this, because it was something that in my very eclectic, past, everybody got excited about. So I was able to recognize that enthusiasm and then translate it into my career here, just from like my previous perspectives.
Well, and see, now you've built an entire persona around merch. You're never leaving the industry. I don't know if anybody's told you that or not, but once you get in, you don't get out. It's
Yeah.
like a Chinese
I
finger
drank the
trap.
Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You drank it.
Yeah.
And now you're on the online 18, so it's like you're
stuck.
you're part of it.
Cemented.
Exactly.
All right.
It's ingrained in me at this point.
Meg, I just noticed 12 days till Maine. I'm sorry.
So I was looking at the date that this was going to air, and because I go, I'm so excited. I just count down the days until I go up there for, months on end until fall, and I'm leaving in 12 days, April 2nd.
Very cool.
Excited. That's all I have.
All right. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm not usually the squirrel person, but
No.
yeah.
But
But
welcome,
Sarah, since we're off topic for a quick second, you've been in the closet for a while now. Your background there. We don't get to ask where in the world is Sarah Gashgarian Unra, but because we are pre-recording this episode, where are you currently?
So
As
currently,
people are listening. As people are listening.
As people are listening,
Yeah.
I'm in Austria.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. St.
That's pretty
Anton.
cool.
We're gonna we're après skiing this Alps. I don't know, like the après ski is supposed to be like, it is off the charts. How like I feel like it's really hard to talk about it in pretense and future tense, if you will. But the après ski, I think, is what my kids are the most excited about, not skiing the Alps per se. So
yeah, I figured I'd throw that question out there because it would be fun to see you squirm a little bit.
Yeah, I would like, I'm trying to talk future sense and being like, this is amazing, but also like, I hope.
How are the slopes, Sarah?
Yeah, the slopes are amazing. Crushed it. And then I come back and I've got 2 blown out knees. No, I'm kidding. Let's like knock on wood right now that
Yeah, let's not do that. All right, cool. So
thank you. Thank you.
So obviously, Savannah Merch Girly, we want to talk about how going to market has sort of changed. So I want to get your perspective, like in the few years that you've had in the industry. What are you doing to sort of go to market, or what is Team SCG's sort of market strategy, if you will? And maybe we can add some context to how we've noticed things change over the years,
and then how it's been done in the past too. We can even as old people.
So the way in which we go to market has vastly changed since I've gotten into the industry, or since I've gotten into Team SCG. At first, especially during the pandemic time, it was kind of like, as getting into sales, there was nothing to offer me. No book of business, no like, oh, these are our farmed accounts, whatever. It was, we have this opportunity for you. We see your potential, but you're going to have to go out there and find business for yourself. Like, that was the deal. And I was like, okay, opportunity, here we go. Let's roll. And that was, really looking at anything and everything that I could talk to, like any sort of conversation that I could get started. We were here for it. And they were so gracious to be able to service and support anything that I brought in. That turned into me looking into like my past history and seeing who I previously serviced. I came from the Ritz-Carlton, where people were having these massive corporate events. And if you have a corporate event at the Ritz-Carlton South Beach, you probably have a pretty hefty marketing budget. So at that point, I went back into my contact history, like at the Ritz-Carlton, and I just cold called everybody on the list that I ever was even copied on an email with, and had their numbers. Because at that point, I was very, very entry level at the Ritz-Carlton. So it was very much so like coordinator position. I was just setting appointments and taking notes, but I had all the contact information for these, pretty like solid potential buyers. So I, extracted all that information and called him up. Landed a whale, which was really exciting. Did over 3 million with them within the first year of, landing that account. So I got my feet wet with the industry very, very quickly. It wasn't even my feet at that point. I was just drenched entirely and drowning. But that created a whole shift in my mindset, because very quickly I had to realize, like, I'm not looking for everybody. I'm not looking to do business with everybody. At that point, my time was so, so valuable that I had to really define who I wanted to work with. And that was a huge mindset shift of, like, even if this is a quote unquote like blue chip company that's in my inbox, this specific buyer doesn't align with what I'm trying to accomplish. So I probably shouldn't be wasting my time and my energy on them, versus these are much more aligned with who I am. So it became much more of a selective game, because I had a very limited amount of like time and resources to maximize my ROI of those resources, rather than just say, come one, come all, like, I want your business. And that was a huge mindset shift of, okay, let's cut the bottom 20% of my like accounts, pass them on to elsewhere, and let's roll with like the stuff that I'm good at, and let's develop the stuff that I'm comfortable with.
That's awesome. We all had questions. We all had.
All right, Jeff, go.
All right, so it was your personal sphere of influence as well as your professional sphere of influence for your cold calling, your initial list. Were there any other resources you were using for cold calling or developing a list to cold call?
So I know that I like mentioned that I did this like high school athletic program fundraising thing back in the day. I would be dropped in the middle of, literally Little Havana, and asked to go door to door to restaurants and ask them, like, the managers of these restaurants, if they're interested in signing up for a coupon card. So it like deeply ingrained in me. I am a cold calling fiend. I'm able to like really just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall. I wish that I could say that there was like a bunch of like strategies that I used, a bunch of like technology that, there was this specific like email sequence that did it for me. No, I just literally went out there, did a bunch of calling, emails, LinkedIn, and it wasn't necessarily like a strategy per se, as much as it was just consistency, discipline, and showing up.
That kind of is the strategy, though. It's interesting to me, Meg. I don't know what you guys, it was Sarah, you as well. What you guys are hearing, but to me, it sounds like grassroots still kind of works.
I was going to say, yeah, I don't know that strategy necessarily has shifted and changed. My question was going to end up being of like, when did social media start coming into play with your strategy? Because even Team SCG has, was on the online 18 this year too, where it wasn't in the past. So not only yourself as Merch Girly, but then as an organization, I feel like, how did that shift to social media happen? And then what does that look like? And how has that played a role in your strategy?
Okay. So I sold over $3 million with this massive account in year one. It was a very like organic just relationship that formed, which was amazing. However, so much so that they did so much business that at the end of that first like calendar year that we worked together, our like account got flagged by their procurement team, because they're like, hold on, who the heck is Team SCG? And how did we spend so much money with them? And how are we sending them thousands and thousands of like sensitive like data, addresses, all these things? And how did like so much money go to this company that we haven't even vetted? So that led to a buying freeze. So I went from a high to a whole halt, while they then like took the time to vet our account, send us through a vendor tech review to ensure that we're, actually able to be compliant with their sensitive data. So I went from drinking from a fire hose to then saying, wait, like, what the heck am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And so, I've never been the big social media girly, believe it or not, up until that point. I recognized the potential for it. I was a consumer of it, and I saw what other industries were doing. And I'm like, okay, at this point, I have a pretty cool story. I do things pretty, out of the box at this point because, I mean, as we all know, our industry is a little like crusty and dusty and a little stale, if you will. And there hadn't been that one voice that I was able to necessarily connect with and be able to say, "Oh, like that's what we do. Like
Mhm.
that's what we do, but that's what I do and that's my experience in this industry." So I was like, "Okay, I need to somehow show up on social. That can look like a million different things,
Mhm.
And honestly, like it was something that I was really uncomfortable with at first and something that I really, really had to like push myself to do. But again, it goes back to like if I'm able to be dropped in the middle of Little Havana and go door to door knocking, like I can do anything. So it started out as I was as Sav sells promo, which was really just like my kind of like dipping my toe into like our industry and showing up online for a blip on the radar, But I realized like I wasn't actually selling promotional products. I was selling promotional gifts, if you will. So then it came into gifted by Sav. And like that was a little bit more elevated in the sense of something that like my clients could resonate with and
Mhm.
something that like was like my piece of our industry. And like that almost still felt like a little bit limiting because what I'm trying to do ultimately is take awareness of our industry and what we do and bring it to a mass audience. And what I think that our industry is actually known by, like for the masses, is merch. So,
Yeah.
the way that I talk, like I'll often be, calling people like, oh, girly, oh, sister, whatever. And thus I was like, hold on, like my persona, my identity, what is this? Let's keep it simple, but let's make it like appeal to the masses. Merch, girly, voila. So that's
Love
how
it.
we ended
Love
up
it.
where we are today as it relates to the shift from where I was with it to where we are now. I was able to, kind of bring that strategy through to SCG as well. We're working on, I mean, and this is like ever evolving, lest we not forget.
Yeah.
But like that, like we're trying to really bring awareness to what we're doing, what it's like to work with Team SCG. We're not just a promotional products company. We call ourselves a corporate merch agency with a passion for white glove service, and we specialize in the art of branding. So we want people to understand what it's like to work with us, what it's like to work here, and all the craziness that goes on here. And that's the beauty of social media is a one pager isn't gonna show you that, but
Right.
being able to show up constantly with your content and show you the day to day of what's going on, that'll do it.
I had no
You've done
idea
a really
that
good
you
job
had that
too.
many different personas prior to Merch Girly.
Girl. Well, the thing is, like, I didn't. I'll admit it. Like, I didn't fully lean into it until like about a year ago. Like, I started kind of messing around with it, posting some different things, and I mean, I had a lot going on. It's like it's easy to say, "Oh, I don't have time for this," and that's something that I told myself a lot where I'm like, "Oh, I don't have time for this." And it's when you're uncomfortable doing something, like it's easy for it to go like all the way to the bottom
For
of your
sure.
totem pole,
Yes.
especially when you have a lot else going on. But this in particular was something, especially last year, like I received a lot of positive feedback on, and I was like, hold on, especially as I shift into the more marketing chair at SCG, this is on my roadmap of taking SCG to the next level to a wider audience, and Merch Girly is an extension of SCG. And all things that I'm getting through Merch Girly is then being funneled to SCG.
Now,
I,
sorry, I know there's a delay. I know I saw my stuff kind of skipping out, but I think the one thing that you've done really well on your social media is that you're not going out there and product selling. You are educating and you're creating awareness, which I think is the best way to do it. And you're doing it subliminally. Like you're not saying, "Oh, look at this pen, guys. It writes so great." You might be like, "Da da 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 da." Did you know? Whatever. But I think you've done a really, really good job of that. And I remember you actually showed up on my FYP. That's how I got to know you. And I was like, "Oh, look at this. I love it." And then I just started following you, and I'm like, "This girl got it." So really glad to see you made it on the online 18 this year. You definitely deserve it. I think it's really interesting that we have kind of just the three of us who've all been in for 20 years ish, you know, or Sarah, I can't remember how long you've been in the industry, but we've been in here for a while. So we've seen this industry come from nothing as far as online presence, except for like, you know, an online catalog to this. And I love where it's going. And I think it just keeps elevating our industry. And I think that's really important to the younger generation is we're coming into this in this industry who in the past didn't really care about the perception, right? You know, people sometimes think of the promotional product industry as trinkets and trash. So when we are now seeing things like the Dunkins, right? When their merch sold out in like 30 seconds, right? And we're seeing things that really kind of align with what we do in our industry, and that's helping elevate it. But people like you are also just, you know, kicking ass and helping without even realizing it. So great job.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't think this was necessarily the direction that I thought this conversation would go, which is a great thing because I think this was a really fun and beneficial episode. But I will say that it's not normal for somebody to get a $3 million client in their first year.
Wow.
And to drink through a fire hose, as you
Yeah,
put
I
it.
usually
So,
have for sure.
you know, I think I still have, you know, some questions for, you know, how maybe the things have changed when you're going to market, you know, because some of the things that I've heard is that, you know, from people that are in it, so to speak, it's a lot harder to get people, you know, on the phone, or all they're going to do is email. You can't do in-person meetings anymore, and yada yada yada. So some of those things I kind of wanted to get to, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe we'll do a part 2 of this at some point. But just in closing, I mean, are you like how is any of that affecting you, Sav, or what are you noticing?
So at this point, I mean, honestly, I'm using my socials as a funnel, and so it's not harder. It's not hard for me to get in front of people because I'm already in front of them. And if they're reaching out to me at this point, it's because they are resonating with what I have going on, with what I'm bringing to the table. Like they have a very clear understanding of who I am, how I'm going to be talking. Like, and here's the thing, like that is me. That is who I am. That is how I talk to my clients. I know I sound like a little like, you know, ridiculous sometimes, but that's what you're going to get. And so it's not that I have like a problem like getting in front of people at this point, because that's how I'm trying to do it ahead of time, you know? And at that point, people, if somebody's reaching out to me, they're already like excited to get in front of me. Or if I'm going to an event and I meet somebody, like they have that like understanding of who I am beforehand. I'm not doing the cold calling as I once was. And honestly, like I mean, I think that still has its place, and I think it puts some hair on your chest for sure. And I would recommend it to anybody who's early on in their career. But I think you get to a specific point and you have to just shift your mindset entirely.
I like how you're utilizing it because it creates connections and people, to your point, they like you, they know who you are. And so they already have an idea based upon that kind of relationship that they formulated with you online without knowing you, but knowing you, of knowing exactly what they're getting themselves into. And so they're already, to your point, they're already dialed in, and then they're ready to do business. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, using social media, I think that is going to be more of the new generation. I mean, I know that we started it as well, but I think this is really where people are leaning into it, because this is where your audience is. Like when I'm talking about LinkedIn prospecting with my franchise owners, I'm like, there are 900 million members globally on this platform. Like you have to have a presence. You have to be optimized here. Even if you're not prospecting through LinkedIn, people are still looking you up. They're looking to see if you are a credible person, that, you know, you're the actual expert that you are positioning yourself as. So why not use it to your advantage? You know, use it instead of just playing there. Like really use it to build up your brand, who you are, who your business is, and I don't want to say what you're selling, but why you're selling it, right? Pair the two, make it so it's more meaningful and not just, hey, look at my pen, look at my hat, guys.
Exactly. And to all your, like the point earlier of, you know, buyers are getting younger. With buyers getting younger and with our industry getting younger, I mean, when you are looking up a restaurant or you're going to Switzerland or, you know, whatever the first thing you do is you look at the Instagram, you look at like the TikTok, you look up and like you look up in TikTok like restaurants in the Swiss Alps, whatever, or things to do in the Swiss Alps. And that's where the search is starting these days. Like these things have become, they're social media, but they're search engines. And that's how the younger generations are finding, what they're jazzed about next. And so, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize that opportunity and try to put a lot of time into, curating my, real estate on these apps.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Or you can just reference a destinations book that you got from yours truly.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. 100%.
Well, Merch Girly, Savannah, thank you. This has been great and eye-opening, and just it's like, so I don't think we've strayed too far from us, the Yellow Pages, of us three. But I think we are trying to evolve and adapt, and I think it's really good to hear that we're not on the wrong track, right? I think it's like putting ourselves out there and just, when I think of like the way that this industry and the way that the go-to-market has evolved, I think before it used to just be cold calling, like throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And I think now you do have to be more strategic, even if it's just being consistent, right? I mean, look at Nick being number one on the online 18. Like he is consistently posting stuff every single week, and he's doing a great job of it. He's not selling. He is not selling. He is, making his brand, and he's building awareness. And people want to do business with him because they see his online personality, and they're going to flock to that. Like I said, I didn't even know him until the online 18 came out a couple years ago. So I think, we could take what we know and then just let it evolve a little bit. And I think just being authentic is the best thing possible. What social media has done for us is taken away the perception that we are just order takers, and that now we are human beings. We have families. We have sports. We have children. We have animals that all make us who we are and gives us something like talking points that will align with somebody else. So
exactly. And at the end of the day, on top of that, we're inspired. We're the inspiration. We're the brand behind the brands that, actually bring the cool stuff to life. These brands get all the credits because their logo's on the product. But I mean, if we really, really like boil it down, how did they get there?
Yep.
And also, like, I think to your point too, is like our industry is getting more and more prevalent on social media. A big thing that I'm trying to do is create more community on there, create more engagement. I think that there's this like kind of false narrative of like, if one person's doing well, like another person can't be. But I think if we're all engaging in each other's content, that's going to proceed to build out our niche within the algorithm. And, it's going to create more and more of a space for us and elevate our industry online from there. So I think that there's room at the table for everybody. I think that our table is growing. I think that we have a lot of really, really cool opportunities in front of us. We just need to, focus on it, do it, show up, and continue to support, the whole squad.
No, I couldn't have said it better. I think it's not a competition. And I think that's so important for people to know. Everyone is your own authentic self. And so everyone is bringing something unique and different to the table. And so the more that we can support others that are trying to build themselves and knowing of how hard it is, that vulnerability piece is hard. It's tough. It's not easy, to your point, when you first started and you're dipping your toes inside the social media platform. I did the same thing with my toddler. That was why I was behind the scenes, if you will. And so yeah, it's hard, it's tough. And so it's one of those things that from a community standpoint, we should support each other and build each other up. And there's so much room at the table. Everyone brings something different to it.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't wait for Meg's video.
Yeah, it's a $27 billion industry and growing every year. So I think there's definitely enough for everybody.
Oh, for sure. Meg, I want the video of, oh, this is the pen. I'm sorry. I can't wait. You have to put something out that just starts like that, and then it can transition to whatever else. But I want, oh, look at this pen and how.
You know what? I did a video once, and it was for a pen. I don't remember what it was, but it was like it was me just typing, and it was like, did you know that blah 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 blah? It was like a statistic, and then I had like the pen just like sitting there, like subliminally, but I wasn't like, I don't know. I think there's definitely ways to do it, right? But I think product selling is just so far in the past.
I see a good video, Savannah, of like black and white. Oh, this is the pen, and then transitioning into what you do. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. I mean, that was quite the clip right there. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, there we go.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you again, Merch Garley. We appreciate all this insight. It was fabulous. Now, if anyone's wanting to get a hold of you or reach out or connect with you, what platform would be the best platform for them to connect with you on?
I mean, any of the platforms really, as far as just not Facebook. But
Whoa.
yes, absolutely.
Whoa.
Like,
I'm not
absolutely not
offended,
Facebook.
but it's okay.
I haven't been on Facebook since Nom.
All right. Well, how about
Okay,
MySpace?
put your wrinkles
reach you on
away.
MySpace?
It's okay. It's okay, Jeff.
Can we reach you on MySpace? I'm still friends with Tom.
I'm sure. No, he's still in my top 8, of course.
Yeah.
No, but Instagram, TikTok, Merch Girly, no spaces, no dots, no dashes, just Merch Girly. LinkedIn, I'm active on there as well. Savannah Dimitru, DMYTRIW. But yeah, just reach out. I love engaging and meeting new people within our industry. Like, since I am like more new, I mean, I've been here for almost 5 years now at this point, but like I love to continue to meet new people within the industry. So introduce yourself. I'm happy to connect and share any of my thoughts, and I love to learn other people's perspectives as well. So just, holler at me.
Love it.
Yeah, you've been really fun to have on the show, so we appreciate you coming on. We'll have to have you back to talk about a different topic next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for the hospitality, guys. I'm looking forward to a part 2 for sure.
Awesome.
Was it Ritz level hospitality?
Absolutely.
right.
The ladies and gentlemen of the Ritz-Carlton would definitely approve.
We need a 5-star review then.
Yeah.
We
1000%.
appreciate it.
A glowing 5-star review. I leave the most glowing 5-star reviews, so just wait for it. You'll know it when it comes.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, until next time, we'll be seeing you.